To begin with, here is something I found on Facebook. It's entitled, I Can't Anymore, Alan. The day William Christopher broke down on the MASH set. By 1979, MASH was a hit. Millions watched every week. If you were around during the 1970s and early 80s, you watched MASH. Everyone in the country did seem to be watching MASH. But behind the scenes, one man was running on fumes. William Christopher, gentle, soft-spoken Father Mulcahy, was exhausted. Offset, he was caring for his son Ned, who had special needs. On set, he was working full-time, memorizing lines, showing up with a calm, steady smile fans loved. For 7 years, he did both. One afternoon in his tiny trailer on the lot, his body finally said, enough. He closed the door, sat down, and started to cry. Not movie tears, the kind that come from somewhere deep when you're so tired you don't even know how to pray for anymore, what to pray for anymore. He tried to stop. He couldn't. A few minutes later, someone knocked. Bill, are you in there? It was Alan Alda. William wiped his face, trying to sound normal. Yeah, come in. Alan opened the door and froze. William Christopher, the man who played the calm, unshakable priest of the 407th Seventh, was sitting on the couch, shoulders shaking, face in his hands. Bill, Ellen said quietly, what's going on? I can't do this anymore, Alan. The words just spilled out. I love my son. I love this job, but I'm so tired. I'm up all night. I can't sleep. I can't think. I feel like I'm failing Ned at home and failing you all here. He took a breath that sounded more like a sob. I'm a terrible father. Alan sat down next to him. No, he said firmly, you're not a terrible father. You're a tired father. There's a big difference. William shook his head. I don't know what to do. Don't even know how to ask for help. Everybody thinks I'm fine. Father Mulcahy's supposed to be fine. Alan let that hang in the air for a moment. Then he said very simply, okay, so you're not asking, we are. We? Who? William responded. The family, Alan said. This crazy, loud, MASH family you're stuck with. Bill gave a wet little laugh. What does that even mean? It means, Ellen said, you're not going to carry this alone anymore. And then he started listing things off like he was playing a script. Loretta is going to take Ned to the zoo or the park for a Saturday so you and Barbara can sleep. Mike will bring him out of his place for a day, to his place for a day next week. Jamie will help someone to come in and give you a break at home. Alan, I can't ask them to. You're not asking, Alan interrupted. I am, and it's not a favor, it's what a family does. William's eyes filled again. I don't want to be a burden. Alan looked at him. Bill, he said softly, do you think any of us feel burdened when you listen to us between scenes, when you encourage us, when you quietly pick us up on the days we're falling apart? That's different. No, it isn't, Ellen said. You're always there for us. Now it's your turn. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, William whispered, I'm so tired, Ellen. I know, Ellen said, so let us carry some of this with you. He put an arm around his friend the way Hawkeye might have done for Mulcahy, except this wasn't a scene and there were no cameras. It didn't fix everything overnight. Ned still needed care. The work still was hard. But in the weeks that followed, the plan Alan laid out in that little trailer became real. Loretta took Ned for outings and treated him like he was her own. Mike and his family welcomed him in their home. Jamie cracked jokes and helped arrange help so William and Barbara could rest. Years later, William would talk about this day as a turning point. I thought I was alone, he said. I thought I was weak. But Alan showed me something different. I was just human, and humans need each other. On screen, Father Mulcahy offered comfort to wounded soldiers in a war zone. Off screen, when William Christopher finally broke down, it was the Mash family that became his chaplain, reminding him that asking for help isn't failure, it's faith. Faith that the people who love you won't walk away when you're no longer fine. Now, like anything, one never knows if this is true. I searched for something to authenticate this story or to deny this story ever happened. I couldn't find anything. I did, in my search, discover, though, that one of William Christopher's son was neurodiverse, and that the actor also dealt with recovering from hepatitis when he was on MASH. The producer of the program was tempted to fire him and kill off his character, Father Mulcahy, due to the actor's illness and the distractions of caring for his child. The cast did intervene and express their support for William Christopher. Whether they helped his son is unknown. Why talk about this encounter this morning? This story was presented because it exemplifies caring. Whether it is true or not, it exemplifies caring. Caring is something that churches like this do with one another. Religious communities care for each other. Some do so through rituals or even exist exclusively to aid those burdened, as the old language called it, in mind, body, estate, and spirit. Calling for each other, caring for each other is a spiritual act in our context. Pastoral care is not something that only the minister provides. There is a community to help provide mental and spiritual support. The members of the Pastoral Care Committee work with the minister to connect members with resources and connections. Sue Weber will now read about the Pastoral Care Committee and how it can support you through crises.
Okay. Some of this will overlap with what Tom said, but I think it's important. Can't really say it enough. The Pastoral Care Committee of our church coordinates with Reverend Larry to provide care to congregants as needed. Examples include hospital or home visitations, following up visits during a time of grieving, contact with folks who are unable to stay connected with the congregation, weddings, child dedications, and memorial services. Committee members become aware of needs through in-person conversations and through needs expressed during joys and concerns. And we do track those. Franny helps us with that every week so we can make sure, we capture everything and try to follow up. And we'll inform Reverend Larry if immediate or urgent contact is needed from him. And pastoral care committees, Tom already said who that was, can be identified by red heart stickers on their name tags. And the other thing is what I just read here and what Jean's going to read about church family. I helped Kate Scuffle get in the office this week. It wasn't easy, but we did it. And we printed off cards with both of these, which we were going to put on the chairs this week. So next week, Jean is the worship associate. I won't be there, but we will do that. So you'll have that information right at hand. But of course, always check with us, check with membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue. Crisis. Most of us probably think of crisis in terms of illness, death, divorce, loss of money or job, decline in mental health, and spiritual questioning. or existential uncertainty. These are really the crises that most often occur. But crisis can also be more subtle. While I have served as your minister, I have known people affiliated with the congregation who went through a crisis that was real, but not one that fit into those parameters of illness, death, divorce, loss of job or money, decline in mental health, or spiritual questioning. For some, their crisis was of loneliness. Sometimes it is just difficult to find someone or a group to socialize with. This is no small thing. The pastoral care committee can help a person sometimes find another group or person who would be welcoming. It's one of the delusions of our times that just because we are connected electronically, we do not need to be connected by physical presence. Sometimes that need for connection means talking over coffee or going for a walk. This is not just for those who live alone. People who are married sometimes just want a friend. Doing so is not an indictment on anyone's marriage. It's just that sometimes one needs a friend. One needs to make friends. Pastoral care in this congregation is different from any of the other 19 congregations I have been involved with. In this congregation, members are sometimes annoyed that the minister or the pastoral care team did not reach out to them. Sometimes they were not contacted because no one knew that the member was distressed or expected care. This is not normal in my experience. It puts the onus of contact solely on others instead of oneself. If you want to speak to the minister or to the pastoral care team, take the initiative. Drop an email to pastoralcare@uuclvpa.org. I keep office hours by Zoom on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1 o'clock to 3. You may also email, call, or text me to set a time to meet or just talk if I am available at that time. It is not expected the minister will reach out to every member. Members and friends who wish to have pastoral care need to contact the minister rather than sulking about the minister not contacting them. No clergy person or committee can read your mind nor respond to unspoken needs you might have. I care about you. Before I went to seminary, I was giving pastoral care to members of the congregation I belonged to. The minister was wonderful. His sermons were polished. He enjoyed offering adult religious education, and he was very good at it. He liked performing administrative functions. When he met with the board, he had provided graphs and figures and all kinds of things to let the board know through numerical analysis what was happening in the church. If you came to him in a crisis, though, and told him what was troubling you, his response was always, "You ought to talk to somebody about that." Anyone but me, he meant. He told me that he barely scraped through clinical pastoral education, which is a part of ministerial education and formation. It just was not his strength. Because pastoral care was not his strength, I and a couple of other congregants performed that function in the church. We did not do so out of aggravation. We were not organized as a committee. We understood that the minister had strengths, and this was not one of them. If one looks for faults in someone, one will inevitably find them. But he did have amazing strengths, and we appreciated what he was giving us. Even though I had only been a member for a year, people, especially younger people, were sharing their pastoral concerns with me. After all, I was 28 years old and could understand then the challenges of being young in the 1980s and early 1990s. Pastoral care has always been an important part of ministry to me. Pastoral care, though, comes with the cost if a congregation makes it one of the major foci of its ministry. Church studies show that congregations that emphasize pastoral care of membership growth, social justice, and spiritual exploration, or children's programming tend not to grow. This is because if pastoral care becomes one of the primary functions of the congregational life, the congregation becomes focused on itself and individual crises rather than looking outward or to its future. This does not imply that pastoral care is not helpful, but that it can be risky to put emphasis over other congregational ministries. Pastoral care is not, however, the only way that the congregation helps its members. Gene Davis will now read the card for the Church Family Committee.
Thank you. An integral part of pastoral care is provided by the Church Family Committee. This committee arranges support for members and friends to help them through difficult situations. It is dedicated to service within our own church community during times of need or crisis. And many of you have responded to these needs or crises by providing meals or companionship or transportation, rides to medical appointments, for instance. So we thank you for all of that. The committee will coordinate volunteer help, as I said, things like providing meals or rides, to respond to situations which already exist or that might arise anew. In cooperation with the congregation, the committee acts as a loving family, extending a hand to members and friends in times of need. The Church Family Committee can be identified by the helping hands symbol on their name tags, and they have an email address. You can contact them by also, and it is churchfamily@uuclvpa.org. So please avail yourself of church family or pastoral care help. We are there and we want to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. So if you need help with things that are not concerned only with your emotional or spiritual state, then you can contact Church Family for help. These are times when a helping hand is needed. The Church Family Committee is dedicated to service to members and friends during times of need or crisis. Church Family provides help when you need it. In the days and weeks and months to come, I hope you will reach out to the Pastoral Committee and the Church Family Committee if you think that would be helpful. I hope that you will reach out to me. If you would like to help as a volunteer with Church Family, please contact Cecilia Eberhardt. She is leading that committee and is often looking for people who are willing to help out. In truth, though, just being involved with the congregation means that one is potentially a member of the church family, as anyone may be asked to help out. Let me close today that it was pastoral care, not from the minister of the congregation that I joined, but from the congregation itself that held me together when I first became a Unitarian Universalist 36 years ago. Their empathy and compassion inspired me and held me together when I went through a personal crisis. Actually, their empathy and compassion evoked my crisis because I was in a community that modeled love. And I felt safe for the first time in my life. That is what we can be. We can be the place where hearts, minds, and spirits of hurting humans can be safe and free. This congregation can model what we want the world to look like. And we can start with each other. Please pray with me. Spirit of life, remind us that we receive love and help in community. Stir us in the way of compassion and caring. Strengthen our resolve to help each other through the many struggles of this life. And when we need it, give us also the trust that others will care for us as well. May we remember that for all the troubles of this life, the care that others give will foster in us confidence in humanity, in faith, in hope, in love. Amen.